Hi everyone, it's Martin Root with this week's Heaven Maker, Sue Bookchin, with a very interesting story, I think, about how a tiny, tiny little act can have huge positive repercussions in terms of helping to co-create heaven on earth. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you. Such a delight to be here.
Thank you, thank you. Tell me about how all this happened. You remember many years ago?
Many years ago, actually, not that many, but 4 or 5 now, I had taken your weekend program, Project Heaven on Earth, and then was part of the global webinar series, teleseminars, and you had given us a list of ills in the world. And asked us to think about which of these really resonated for us in some way. And for me, that was very clear. It was about violence against women and sexual slavery and the ways that violence against women and rape have been used as weapons of war for all time. That issue has always been a big one for me. And when I think about it, and that day when we were on that call, I felt the tears coming. I was so enraged about all the ways that women are violated in the world. And so as we talked more about that and, what could one person do, you said, well, you could donate some money. You could donate $5,000 or a penny. And someone else in the group said, well, what if it was a penny each day?
Well, I think, let me interrupt.
Yes.
You said, what difference? I remember how angry you were. You were really mad. And
Yeah.
you said, in response to my saying $5,000 or a penny, you said, well, what difference would a penny make?
What a penny make?
You were really mad. And then this other woman, Diani, said,
yes, what if it was a penny a day? And even a penny can accomplish something. And what resonated for me about that was that there's something about giving something every day, something that you do as a practice every day, even if it's just a penny, that starts to embed something in your consciousness, and that everyone can afford a penny, even school children. So
Right.
If we wanted to involve young people, that was what could happen. So I brought this idea to the Women's Center where I was involved and I had been on the board about this notion of a penny a day to end violence against women. And the idea that came of that was didn't get called Penny a Day in the end because I'm working with a team, and it became an initiative called Making Change.
Which I love.
And
I love the name. I remember hearing
yeah,
it's brilliant.
well, it had so many connotations.
Yes, exactly. And more
Yeah.
specifically than what did you do?
So one of the people who works at this women's center, this is Second Story Women's Center in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, is an artist, and she designed a label. Yeah.
Sorry, Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, in Canada, for those
In
who don't.
Canada, yes, it
Right.
is in Canada. And she designed a label that we put on mason jars. We called into the community to ask them to donate mason jars. And we had the labels printed, put them on the jars. And then we had a big launch where we had, 85 people on a really stormy day.
Wow.
And people told stories. Some who had never told another soul about the violence in their family and how they had been violated. And then people took the jars and distributed them through Lunenburg and Queens counties, in banks, in grocery stores, in drugstores, anywhere where there is a counter. And people put coins in the jars. And at some point, I think we left them out for about 6 months, we had collected something like $2,500 or $3,000, which was not the idea of it to collect the money, but just that people would understand this is an issue in our community as well as a global issue.
And we're going to put a picture of the label. The label has a picture of a woman's face, half her face beaten up, and half her face bright and alive with light coming out of her face. What was interesting
Yeah.
to me, Sue, is how, this seemingly innocuous idea of a penny a day, because I remember thinking, or I don't know if we even spoke about this, but you didn't want people to put in $3.65 as their contribution for the year in one donation, but you wanted,
Right.
right? You wanted the penny, the penny, the penny, the penny. And you think, well, what difference does a penny make?
Yeah.
But that's the whole point of why I so love this project.
Yeah. And the same as what you are doing with Project Heaven on Earth, which is making it something that is in people's consciousness every day, then it was the same idea that isolation and silence and shame and hiding these things is one of the things that keeps it alive. And when people talk about it and bring it into the light and bring consciousness to it in their communities, then we actually can do something to work together to stop it. So that initiative ended, and we had a group that was together to okay, well, now what do we do? Because, every December 6th in Canada, and lots of places in Canada, we commemorate the killing of 14 young women engineering students by Marc Lépine at École Polytechnique in Montreal. And he killed those fellow students because they were women. Yeah. And so every December 6th, we have a vigil of some sort. We get together with other organizations. The community comes. We light candles. We speak the names of those students. And then on December 7th, we go back to life as usual. And we didn't want that to happen.
Right.
So we were brainstorming about what the next initiative would be to keep this on the public radar when a call for proposals came out by Status of Women Canada, which is a federal body, and a call for proposals for a 3-year project. So we scrambled to write this proposal. We had never done that before, or for that amount of money. And 6 months later, we found out that we actually were awarded the money to create a coordinated community response to violence against women in Lunenburg County.
That was $100,000 for each of the subsequent 3 years.
Yeah.
From a penny a day.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we did that project. It was very successful in our community. Even people in other parts of the province have heard about the project. Got a lot of partners involved, whether it was policing or churches, family support centers, the schools, the mental health facilities, everyone we could think of. And that project ended last year, but obviously the work is not complete. And so some of us started a new nonprofit organization. The project was called Be the Peace.
Yeah.
And so we have a new nonprofit organization that is called the Be the Peace Institute, because we hope to, at some point, be able to actually add to the body of knowledge about how to end violence against women.
Perfect. And
so that's what we're working on now.
What's interesting to me is, notice the language, folks. It's not to make violence against women less. It's to end it. And for those of you who have seen my work, when we talk about ending a suffering, that is clearly, for me, a part of co-creating heaven on earth. It's not to make the suffering reduce, which is wonderful.
Yes.
It's to end it. I mean, if we had a magic wand that could have heaven on earth for violence against women, there would be no violence against women. Period.
Yes. Well, that's what heaven on earth would be, that women are treated with full equality in every realm of life, and that they are not the object of violence just because they are women.
Wonderful, wonderful. Folks, what's amazing to me is, if there's a suffering in the world that you seem overwhelmed by, look at this example and look at how just a simple little act on your part, a penny a day, which seems so inconsequential, but what was behind it, I believe, Susan, was your commitment to, we're going to end violence against women.
Yeah.
And we don't know how, but here's a brilliant idea, making change a penny a day, and we've begun, which went into the 300,000 and now goes into the Be the Peace Institute.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
It's one step. And that's where the journey of social change starts, is just take the first step, whatever it is.
Right, because if you think there's nothing I can do, this particular suffering that bothers me is too overwhelming, and multiply that by 7 billion people in the world, and the suffering stays in place.
Yeah.
So think of the penny a day example. Susan, this is wonderful. Is there a website for the Institute?
There are two websites. One is bethepeace.ca,
Right.
which is the project website. That's still up, so people can see the kind of work that we did. And the Institute website is bethepeaceinstitute.ca.
Susan, thank you so much, and thank you so much for being really a heaven maker and an angel of heaven on earth.
Well, thank you, Martin, because that experience created for me what I think is my life's work. This is the piece of work that I will do for my life.
Very clear.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you.